Welcome back, the Pure Advocates. We are back. We took a lot of time off, not because we wanted to, but the circumstances of life, things happen. To our viewers, thank you guys for keeping the channel alive. We plan on putting out a lot of content. We have a lot of areas we want to touch upon when it comes to our community. Today we have a really, really special guest. Big brother of mine. I have known him for a very, very long time. When I was a kid, I used to be around him a lot. It's been over 15 years close to 15 years.
Yeah, if not more.
It's been a long time, man. I'm really happy that we have reconnected. He's here today. He's doing a lot of great things in our community. Let's get to it. His name is Hussein. Big bro right here. He owns a practice out of Federal Way, and he's doing a great job. It's called Rahma Recovery Center. And, he's helping the youth recover from substance abuse, mental health disorders. And, I've been to a few of his events, see him speak there. And so, it was only right to get him on here. So,
Oh, man.
my dog, Hussein.
My brother.
How you doing?
Man. Alhamdulillah, man. Thanks for having me, bro, brother.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? First time, on Pure Advocates. I was gone when you guys got this thing started, man.
Yeah,
Mashallah,
5 years
man.
ago.
Bro, I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you,
I'm
fam.
proud of you, man. And you know what? Like you said, man, it's been years, you know what I mean? And faith will bring, people that, you know what I mean? You and I are more than just friends, man. We're like family, you know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
it was only right that, Allah brought us back together while we're on the same mission in trying to improve the lives of members in our community.
Absolutely.
Alhamdulillah. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Like my brother Muhammad said, my name is Hussein Ugas. I am the founder and executive director of Rahma Recovery Center. The way I like to introduce myself, more importantly than just the leader of the first of its kind, culturally responsive recovery program for our Muslim community, immigrant community, our Somali community, our East African community. I'd like to introduce myself as, my name is Hussein, and I am a grateful addict in recovery. That statement alone destigmatizes this thing we call addiction. I'm glad to join my brother Muhammad to be one of the first guests to be invited as he makes his return to creating more incredible content, and this time some hard-hitting content for our community.
Let's get it. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So Hussein, you and I have known each other for a very long time. And there was a huge gap, about 15 years that we haven't seen each other. I'm glad, Mutaqana, mashallah, you're here today. You're doing extremely well. I love how you're so connected to God, and just the spirituality side. It's a beautiful thing. That's something that is very important when it comes to life itself. So let's dive a little deeper, because we have a lot of the youth and young adults watching this clip, and maybe some of them are at home right now suffering. They don't know what to do. They don't know what's going on. Because when you get addicted to certain substances, part of your brain is kind of gone. Your thinking ability is not all the way there. Mm-hmm. So let's just start with how did you get into substance abuse, and what inspired that?
Just like Muhammad, we were one of the first families that moved to Seattle. Growing up, in Seattle in the mid '90s to late '90s, we were a really small group of community, Somali community. A lot of us, we all escaped the war. You know how it was, man. Went through refugee camps. So we carried trauma. We carried some serious trauma, whether it was from the Civil War or from just living in refugee camps itself. I remember one of the kids that we were in the refugee camps with once told me, I remember this very vividly, my brother. He came out running. We were in a camp of 3,000 people, and there were, I think, 5 porta potties. But it wasn't like the porta parties at the construction sites where they have people come and clean them up. No, nobody cleaned them up.
Right.
Yeah, people just used them and
And
took
took
a
off.
shower in there, did a number one, number two, and just kept going. 3,000 people, like, Somalis and Sudanese living amongst each other. And then this kid went in to go use the bathroom, and he must have saw a lady that just gave birth in there, and her baby is hanging out of her, and she's trying to save him from the feces.
Damn.
And holding that baby by the umbilical cord, just crying, panicking. And the kid was telling us exactly what he was seeing. So imagine the kind of trauma. Forget about
That's
the war.
some serious trauma right there.
So I compartmentalized it, right? Because growing up here, I went to Ta'i High School. I was one of the bright kids. I played basketball just like you.
Yeah, that's where I remember you from,
yeah.
man. Just being around basketball.
Yeah, and I was a straight A student, but at some point things started falling apart because I started dealing with that, the memories of the war. I couldn't focus in school. It turned into.
How old were you when the war was going on?
I think it started when I was, about 8, 9 years old.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you have like
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. By the time I was 10, I knew how to take AK apart and put it back together. we used to have a contest of who can do it with their eyes closed the fastest.
that's kind of like the youth. A lot of the kids. I mean, when you grow up in that environment, like being a kid, even at that age, like it's so normalized because
Yeah.
you see it around and stuff like that. Not that it was like that before the war,
No.
but when everything just went to dust,
Yeah.
it was.
I mean, you have no choice, man.
You gotta survive.
It's a survival, right?
Yeah.
But after growing up in this country for not really growing up, we've been here for a few years. So I started falling apart around 98. So that would put us right about 5 years we're here at that time. I couldn't focus in school. I didn't know how to, speak about this because number one, even the U.S. soldiers that have gone through the first Iraq war that were dealing with PTSD didn't even know how to speak about it because the subject of PTSD wasn't something that was popular at the time. Doctors didn't say much about it, and it's not talked about the way it's talked about today, but with the mental health specialists and doctors, the way they talk about it. So how can someone like me, a foreigner, a refugee, you know what I mean, that barely, I learned the English language, the rest of my family that's still struggling. I was one of the first ones to pick up the language. Another thing, Akhi, what's happening is there was a lot of community pressure. When you are someone who has, who's showing promise, right? Who is, when the community looks at you, they look at you as, they put you on a pedestal and they say, you are the future for us. You're the one that's going to become a doctor. You're the one that's kind of like the savior of the community, right? And with all that pressure, and with me always walking around with my chest up high, and because I was an overachiever, the fact that I was dealing with failures was something that I couldn't handle. The fact that I couldn't focus because of this nightmares that I'm dealing with at night, and I can't sleep, and in the daytime, I'm barely awake in class. I remember I was in science class one time, and I dozed off, and I jumped. I had a crazy nightmare sleeping in class, and I jumped up yelling, and I ran out of the class, and I stopped at the door, and I looked back, and the whole room just laughed at me.
Why did that happen?
I was just having a nightmare in the middle of class.
Okay, so you dozed off because you were tired.
Yeah.
You were
Because I
tired, you
couldn't
dozed
sleep at
off.
night, right?
Right.
I'm dealing with these nightmares. So at the same nightmare, in the middle of the day, I jumped up and I ran out of the room, man. And I still remember the laughter of those kids, man. It hurt me so much that I never went back to school.
So when the nightmares were happening, did you ever get seen? Did you ever go to a doctor, talk to them about it?
I couldn't explain it to anybody. You see, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm cursed. In my mind, I'm thinking I saw something I wasn't supposed to see growing up, some kind of a tragedy that happened, and it's following me.
Right.
I didn't know anything about mental health support. I didn't even know that exists. You're Somali, I'm Somali. Who talks about mental health? Even right now, barely, bro.
Yeah, I think mental health issues are silenced or attributed to spiritual causes.
Mm-hmm.
And in our culture, we have this thing where when somebody's suffering or going through certain symptoms, it's it's always the first thing, which is great. Like take this person back home, have the Quran recited on them
Do a
over
ruqya
and
on
over.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. But it gets to a point where it's like, okay, this is not working. What do we do? Where do we go from here?
Mhm.
Right?
Absolutely.
And
So at that time, I didn't know what was going on. So I started lying to my family. I started telling them that I'm still going to school. I started skipping school. I started, kind of distracting myself with other, things like, skipping school, going to other schools like Nathan Hill High School, going to go see, girls over there. I was a good-looking kid at the time, so girls liked me. So I used to just, I met a couple of friends who they smoked a little bit of weed here and there, but it wasn't my thing, right?
right.
I was just a ladies' guy, so.
That's how it starts.
Yeah.
It always
and
starts with the girls.
Exactly, man. And then before you know it, high school, 99 graduation came, and I couldn't even graduate, bro. And I lied to my aunt, I was living with. I told her, yes, I am graduating. But I went there, and I was just like one of the spectators watching everybody walked and got their diplomas. And that was another thing that I internalized, like another failure, right? Another guilt, another shame started. And then I kept lying. I kept telling them, "Oh, I'm moving to Bellingham because Western Washington University, the bros were going there." So I'm like, "I'm going to school over there too," lying to the family.
Yeah.
Man, it just one story after another just kept building, kept building. Before you know it, man, it was 2002, my first time having a drink at a Halloween party in Bellingham. The reason why I'm telling you these
That
things,
was your first drink?
Yeah, the reason why I'm telling you.
What was that experience like?
Before I get to that, reason why I'm telling you, giving you the background for this is, there are young men and women who are dealing with mental health crisis at home right now, in their homes.
Undiagnosed.
Yeah, and it could be depression, it could be identity crisis, it could be the simple fact that there's lack of communication between them and their parents. They could be getting bullied at school, right? They could be going through a breakup with somebody, a girlfriend or a boyfriend, right? They don't know how to speak to their parents because the hoyo or the abe, they're shooing them away. I remember a sheikh I was listening to one time, he said there was this young man that shared a story in class one time. He said, and the teacher asked him, what would you like to be when you grow up? Everybody, like all the kids, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a fireman. He said, I want to be an iPhone. And they asked him why. He said, because iPhones, my dad has one and my mom has one. And every time when I come home from school, whenever my dad comes home from work, he said they're always on their phone. They're either talking to people, or they're watching videos, or they're always laughing, and they're so happy. And I want to be a phone because I want my dad and my mom to be that happy with me.
Wow.
Think about that.
So he's on the device.
Yeah.
And
the kid wants to become the phone
because he sees his parents on
Yeah.
it.
How much they love that phone.
Right. So
and
he
this
wants
is a Somali kid.
Wow.
He wants the same attention.
I think a lot of people are guilty of that, including me.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I have kids, and there's times where it's like you have to get certain stuff done.
Yeah.
And it's like they want your attention like nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll throw the device, the little
Yeah.
iPad.
Yes.
Like, here, watch your show. And while I get my things
it's
done.
one thing to keep him distracted with the phone. The kid said he wants to become an iPhone when he grows up.
Wow.
Because the attention that his father and mother give the iPhone to, he wants that attention.
That is crazy.
So all of these things that are happening to these young men and women, the lack of parental, lack of community awareness of these problems that's going on, this is going to lead to them coping with their issues. Whether they started at a Halloween party like me, or whether they started by a friend that tells them, hey, here's the pill. It'll keep, mind occupied. You don't have to be, so down on yourself, or you don't have to be depressed, right? This will make you happy, or this will make you forget your problem. And all it takes, especially with the opiates, one try sometimes. One try of a Percocet, one try of some kind of a painkiller will lead to fentanyl addiction and eventually an overdose.
Going back to the device
Yeah.
and the kid wanting, and the kid growing up and wanting to be an iPhone, do you think that's the parents' fault, or do you think that's the fault of society? Because if we're looking at it from a bigger picture, right? Yes, the parents have access to iPhones and devices and stuff like that, but I also think that this technology is being introduced to them in school. It's at work. In middle school, like I have a nephew and a niece, and they have laptops,
Of course.
to get their work done. And I'm assuming, at some point it's going to get to an elementary level and preschool, right? So, is that something that we can change?
Yes.
Or how do we go around that?
Yes. So, going back to some of the stories that I listened from our scholars, right? Just recently, I was at a halaqa, and the sheikh was talking about how from the age, of maybe 2 or 3, kids start learning to mimic the parent, right? If they are old enough to repeat after, their favorite cartoons, theme song, then they are old enough to repeat words of the Quran.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Another thing, the behaviors that we show as parents, the way that we lead the house, these are the steps that they're going to take. There are families, I'm not going to take credit away from them. There are families who have a very disciplined household, but yet their son or daughter fall into addiction. Addiction does not care who you are. You can come from a very loving family. You can come from a disciplined family. You can come from a rich family or a poor family or a distracted family. Addiction, it's a very small number of human beings that have this addictive gene. Before things get to that, right, there are ways that you can divert your loved ones, your kids from that. There's certainly ways that you can do that. Our issue with our community is we always want to address situation when it becomes a crisis.
Okay, so let's go back to that that Halloween party at Western Washington University where you had your first drink. How did it start and how did it end?
Well, it's a long story. It was a decade, if not more. Addiction, mental health crisis, legal issues, overdose, coma, treatment facility, relapse, back to treatment. That night, what started as, once again, beautiful girl handed me a Hennessy. Me wanting to fit in, I finally fell under pressure and had that first drink, and it was a nonstop. I went from being a designated driver for the homies and my friends that were over there. I used to be the guy they used to toss the keys to the guy that they tell me, "What's wrong with you, man?
Why you don't want to have fun?"
Yeah. No, they were like, "Bro, you're doing too much. How is it that we started drinking way before you, but you're out drinking us?"
Oh, so you're saying like once you got into the game, like you were...
Yeah.
And that's
I went from 0 to 60 like within a week or so.
So you have addictive personality.
Yes.
And so I want to ask you one question. Like a lot of the people that live in the West, they have a culture of drinking, after work on the weekends. A lot of them are pretty clean. They don't take it to the next level.
Yes.
They drink, they, work out, but I notice in our communities, it's like once you get into that system of drinking and partying and stuff like that, it's usually, you
there's no half step in it.
Yeah. So
it's full throttle.
Yeah. It's crazy. So that you're talking about that addictive genetic
gene, the addictive gene. So
yeah.
I'm gonna
break
simplify.
That down.
I'm gonna simplify. So addiction, what it does is it hijacks your brain, right? It's not only your brain, but your brain's GPS system, right? Imagine you're heading somewhere and your GPS tells you head north, and all of a sudden something hijacks it and tells you head east. Your brain has a way to reward you for the things that you do, the things that you eat, the people, that are in your life, like your children, right? When you see them, when you interact with them, you get a joy out of that. When you eat your favorite food, you get a joy out of that. When you go, go play basketball or go work out, right? People get what the runner's high, right? All those rewards that your brain gives you, what addiction does is it hijacks all of them. So nothing else gives you a reward. Nothing else makes you feel pleasure unless you're using that substance. So the worst drug I ever tried was heroin, right?
Which is the worst one out of all of them?
Fentanyl right now.
Fentanyl.
Yeah. Fentanyl is heroin on steroid. Now they have another fentanyl that is fentanyl on steroid.
Damn.
Yeah. Another fentanyl that's about 100 times stronger than the normal fentanyl.
And it's guaranteed overdose.
It's 100%. These are medications that they use for elephant tranquilizers.
Wow. Do you know who's making them or where it's coming from?
The precursors are coming from China.
Yeah.
And they're putting them together in warehouses, the cartel owned in Mexico.
Right.
And getting them across the border. This isn't a secret. This is out in
this public
right?
information. Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah. But going back to the addiction, right? The thing is, I know these things now through lived experience, through going through treatment programs, and myself doing my own research, right? But at the time when I'm going through these things and I'm self-sabotaging and I'm lying and I'm just going through, my brother, I was such a pathological liar that I learned how to be a functional addict. I even managed to get married. Right?
Right.
I had a wife, I had a house, you know what I mean? I had a little boy, and she was pregnant with my second son. Somebody who was a revert became a Muslim because, you know what I mean? She married me. None of it mattered.
And she didn't know about it?
She did.
She knew about it?
Yes.
Okay.
She got to a point where she was like, I'm not dealing with this, man.
Right.
Yeah. You can lie to other people, but I live with you.
Right.
I see the self-destructive behavior. I got to save these kids. The one that's in my stomach and the one right here, I got to save them. I got to get them out of here. Even though I put her through that, she never really had anything bad to say about me to my kids. My two boys never heard anything more than, your dad is sick, and when he gets better, he'll be back into your life. Those 10 years, I went from moving to Alaska, going through court cases, becoming a drug dealer for the first time in my life. Actually, no, I was a small-time marijuana dealer in Bellingham, but when I went to Alaska, that's when.
Why did you go to Alaska? To work or you
to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went over there to work. I got fired for smoking weed. So I went to work for a fishing cannery.
Yeah.
And then ended up working for a ship salvage company.
Yeah.
That ship salvage company, I ended up becoming a cocaine dealer. A lot of shit went down.
How were you getting the? Was it coming through the ships? Was it coming through the ships, or was it? Were you getting it on the land from the land?
It was coming by the mail. It was a situation where I knew some people that had shipments that would come in from the lower 48, and I would just add some products in there and break them off, and it was a chaos.
So
man.
you was working double time.
Yeah.
You were clocked in here and there.
And on top of that, I worked for a company where we would take tugboats and fly down the Bering Sea to go rescue the crab boats when they get in trouble. You know that Deadliest Catch?
Yeah.
That show Deadliest Catch, you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. When those boats get in trouble, we would go rescue them.
Damn.
Yeah.
That was
wild stuff.
That's
man.
crazy.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm facing this case in Anchorage, Alaska, and I spent a lot of money.
Oh, so you got caught?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm in Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah.
The only Somali kid in jail. This is the first time I saw. I didn't even know black people were there.
Yeah.
The jail was full of black people.
Yeah.
The Anchorage, Alaska jail, full of black guys. I didn't even know that it was. When I got out, it was a whole another story how I even got out, man. We don't have the time for this.
Yeah.
But it's a wild story how I even got bailed out because I didn't want to stay in there. my lawyer was like, okay, I'm gonna work on your bail. He worked on my bail, and by the time my bail hearing was coming up, my cellmate, this Native American kid, they said your bail's down to 0, but you need somebody that can,
Sign off.
Yeah, sign off, because you're gonna be flight risk. I was like, where am I gonna go? Like, take my ID. They were like, no, man. There are people that say that. They go, take a bus to the next town, and then they fly from there. It was a blessing, man. This is how I met my ex-wife. It was because of the guy that signed off for me, a guy named David Boucher, who thought that I was his son from a girlfriend that he had. Dead serious, bro. He said, you're Mary Mambui's son. Mary Mambui is a Kenyan lady that he met back in the early 80s in Mombasa, Kenya, while they were stationed there. This guy is a U.S. Army veteran.
Right.
I mean, not Army, Marine veteran, right? And he thought that, because Mary Mambu wrote him a letter years later, he found the letter, and she said that she had a son for him. So I told him, he said, where you from? I said, East Africa.
Yeah.
Automatically, that's all he registered. He was like, my boy.
Because you were the only black.
Yeah. He was
black
like, my
person
boy,
in
you
Alaska.
came looking for me.
That's wild, bro.
Yeah.
You're the only black guy there, so you're
No.
automatically...
There's a bunch of black people there. They're all African Americans.
Oh, in jail?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I just told you that.
Yeah. I thought this was when you got out.
No. There's a hood over there called Mountain View. As ghetto as the South End.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen clips on online.
Yeah, man. They got
There's
Crips
a hood
and
everywhere,
Bloods.
man.
Yeah, that's where the old man lived. He lived in Mountain View.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, long story short, he got me out.
Did y'all do a DNA test?
No. Even the judge, luckily, the judge didn't even... Bro, the only way they can let me out was if he has known me for a year. It just so happens that the judge at the court was his buddy from the local VFW.
Right.
And they kind of recognized each other. When he asked him the question, yeah. He was like, Boucher, what the hell are you doing here? He was like, Roberts? He goes, around here they call me Your Honor. He goes, yes, Your Honor, sir. Roberts, sir. Bruh.
Yeah.
He said, what are you doing here, Boucher? He said, I came to get Mary Mambui's son.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like, Hussein's mother is
crazy
such and such. Yeah. And alhamdulillah, man. It was.
So I'm saying, and you've been doing a lot of events, public speaking.
Yes.
I actually been to one of your events.
Yes.
And you're doing a really, really great job in the community, bro. I noticed one thing that for the last event that I came to and you were speaking, I noticed that, there was a couple mothers that came up to you and like they gave you a hug. And it wasn't just a regular hug, it was a sincere hug.
Mm-hmm.
And, we don't have to mention any names or, anybody like that. But do you feel like we're getting to that point where the stigma surrounding addiction and, mental health disorders in our community is becoming normalized now, to where the parents are coming out and reaching out and saying, hey, saying this is going on in my house? Or do you feel like we're not there yet and we got a lot of work to do?
Alhamdulillah, we have to be grateful. The reason why we're at where we're at, first and foremost, is Allah's blessings. Secondly, is the courage, people like me, people like my sister Ubah, the courage that we have shown, right? And not fearing no human being and what they say about who I was, how I overcame those challenges, and what it means for me to share it with the community. My story went from chaos to criminality to, almost dodging death so many different times. I cannot quantify how many times that I was so close to death, right? But Allah has gotten me out of there. All that I have gone through today, for me, Muhammad, today, I don't see that as pain anymore. I don't see that as a struggle anymore. I don't see that as, a really, difficult times that I went through in my life. I see that as Allah was training me and preparing me to the man that I am today. It wasn't easy to get these families to come around. It wasn't easy. Those mothers that you have seen, I've sat down in their homes with their children, and we have found a way to help either their son or their daughter. And it all started with simple messages like, hello, my name is Hussein, and I'm a grateful addict in recovery.
Yeah.
I was once a junkie, homeless, heroin addict that thought that he will never make it out of there, but Allah has blessed me with this thing called recovery. Please let me tell you what it means.
Accountability.
These messages that we carry, see, like what you have on your shirt,
Yeah.
I am proof that there's life after addiction, right?
Shout out to
These aren't just words.
no, this is real life messages.
These are messages. Akhi. These are messages. These shirts that you see, addiction is a disease, stop the stigma. These are powerful messages. They are not just words. People see this, and something inside them softens up. Allah softens up their hearts, because the thing is, with leadership comes a level of vulnerability that is absolutely necessary. I didn't choose this to be, I never in my life thought that I was going to be in leadership position. I answered the call because I did not want to stand by and watch our community suffer and see mothers and fathers bury their kids, not just their kids, their elder sons and daughters through an overdose. I didn't want to be the one to stop by. You know our community? We've got plenty of, academia, community organizations, faith leaders, right? When a mother is dealing with a crisis at home, where's the first place that she goes to? She goes to the mosque, talks to the imam, talks to the scholars. Help me. You know what they tell? Your son, your daughter, they have a lack of moral failure. They have a lack of faith. They need to pray more. They need to recite the Quran more. They need to turn their lives into Allah. You know what I tell those sheikhs and those imams, and I love them to death. I will never, ever disrespect our faith leaders. They mean so much to us, right? But you got to call a spade a spade. You cannot recite the Quran away to a broken leg. You have to go to the doctor and get that broken leg fixed. But Allah has also granted us and blessed us with knowledgeable people. And Allah also taught us that to help those that know more than us. Ask for help, right? Ask the ones that know more than you, then you'll find the answers that you're looking for. My brother, our community suffer because there's a lack of understanding of because none of us grew up understanding what an addiction is. None of us, the word addiction doesn't even exist in the Somali lexicon. You're aware of that, right?
Right.
So how do you get a hold of a concept which you don't even have a word for?
Accountability. Around the pandemic, there was just a lot of overdoses happening in our community, and everybody just had all the time in the world on their hands. Mm-hmm. And so what I did was, I just bought the equipment, set it up, I just bought the equipment, set up, mm-hmm. had a load set up in a room, and, I just started speaking. My first episode was actually on substance abuse and gang violence.
Yeah.
And so I just started speaking on these topics, and, it got the views, it went around the community, whatever. But, I think the accountability aspect wasn't upheld. Mm-hmm. And so, to the mothers who have struggling youth and, whether it's substance abuse, mental health disorders, it is your job. It is your job to, take the right steps and reaching out to the right people, because, holding your kid hostage and denying them the access that they need, it's only going to harm them. Like Hussein said, it took for him to stand up and take accountability for his actions and reach out to audience digitally and, in person, whether it was events where he was speaking out at, for people to open up. That's what it took for mothers to come to him and reach out. And, and we're grateful for Hussein, and what he's doing. But I feel like the sense of embarrassment, like I don't want the community, I don't want this tribe, I don't want this group of people to look at me. That's over with. That we're long past that, and a lot of people are struggling. And so again, this is the people that's around the people that are struggling. It is your job, it is your duty to reach out to find the right method of help.
I mean, akhi, I'll be honest, man. It's not a secret anymore, and it hasn't been a secret for a long time, right?
No, look,
Eh,
no, it's not a secret because and I tell this like I say this
Yeah.
more often nowadays. But I grew up in Kent,
Mhm.
where I used to be around you when I was a younger guy,
Yeah.
and a lot of the guys that I grew up with, there's not one guy that I can call today and be like, "Yo, man, let's go get some coffee or let's go
No.
get some tea." And it's not, and I'm not saying that they're all
Yeah.
dealing with substance abuse or mental health, but a lot of them have gone down that path, and it's a lot of them have vanished, and now it's carrying on to the younger
Yeah.
population.
Imagine the children they
and-
left behind, right? And those single mothers that were raising those kids. The generations today, what scares me is and then these are most of the clients that I deal with now, right? Families that I deal with is young brothers and sisters that are from their late 20s to early 30s, right? I rarely deal with, you know, 18 to 22-year olds. 18 to 22-year olds right now are more waking up and more focused. So there's hope there. But between 22 to like mid 30s, this is where the chaos is right now, the most chaos that I'm seeing. And these are, first generation Somali Americans, or when they were here, they got here when they were like maybe 3, 4, 5 years old, right? So they've grown up here. All they know is America. What happened is the cultural divide happened because, as you know, the parents that were raising them, they focused on providing them roof over their head, putting clothes in their bag, and making sure that whether it was what I mean, a means of pride to say that my son, my daughter became a scholar, right? They graduated high school and they go into university now and they became an engineer, right? Or to say, you're all we got. You have to, bring a good name for the family, or you're all we got. We want you to be somebody so you can do something for your mother and your father, and as the family, unit, while the mom and dad are hustling, these young brothers and sisters were drifting into this like cultural identity crisis. When they're at home, they're one person. When they're at school, they're a completely different person. Their expectations out here is different from their expectations here. They're supposed to be a Muslim, but they're also are told to blend in. To be don't be what I mean, a somebody that stands out from the rest of the crowd. Don't be the person that they say, oh, this person is different. Become an American. It's a lot to handle because, as you know, the prefrontal cortex doesn't grow until you're about like 24, 25.
25,
right?
yeah.
Right. These young brothers and sisters were just lost in like thin air, and they never had an opportunity. They're growing up watching TV shows that have the American family that has the teenagers having a grown up discussion with their mom and their dad about life, about school, about the good times and the bad times, right? But they want to have that outlet with their mom and dad. They want to be able to have that conversation with them. Nothing. Mom is so tired from working all day. She got to feed the kids. She got to put them to bed, get them ready, their clothes ready, the lunch ready. She got to go to sleep because she has to go to work another 8 hours in the morning. Dad is probably working all night, driving a taxi or whatever else that he's doing. Or he might not even be in a picture. That is the generation that's dealing with the biggest trauma. One of those young men was a young man out in Kent. I did a family intervention for them. And the young brother lost 3 of his friends in a gun-related, situation where they all got shot at the same vehicle. The young man survived. He got hit in the hand. In the middle of that intervention, one of the questions was, what is one thing that you wish you could share with your family about your pain? This thing, I'm telling you, happened 6 years earlier. At this time, I think it was about 25 years old. So when he was about 19 years old, this happened. Lost 3 friends. He got shot in the arm. He has a survivor's guilt. He is alone. He feels like none of the family understand him. So he keeps using fentanyl and wishes that every time he gets high on fentanyl, that he meets his friends again, that he's literally suicidal. And he said, Hoyo, he showed them a video. He said, Hoyo, remember this?
Of him and his friends.
Yeah. He said, before they died, this was the last video of them. And I watch this video every night before I get high. And I wish I could go meet them.
Damn.
And none of you guys, has any one of you guys ever asked me how I felt about losing them? He asked his brother, his sister, his mom. His mom was like, well, I'm too busy. I got a daycare. I got to feed you guys. I'm trying to help you. I've done everything for you. I've taken you back home. I bought you a car. I wanted to make you a truck driver. She's just saying all these different things. But she's not seeing exactly what he's saying.
She's focused on the future.
Yeah.
He's focused present. The present times.
And like, I'm hurting.
So she's disregarding his emotions
everything
and
that
feelings.
He just said.
Yeah.
You know, she's literally, I've done everything for you. You've done everything except exactly what this young man needed. I'm not saying this to blame her. God forbid. Forgive me. I'm not saying this to blame the Hoyo. I'm just saying this that they know what they know, right? They know what they know. And what they don't know is what terrifies them. Our Somali parents are between either I'm so terrified that this person is going to bring me harm and the rest of the kids harm, kick them out. Or I'm so terrified that if I don't let him get high and drunk here, he's going to get high and drunk over there, and he's going to run into other drug addicts and alcoholics, and they're going to stab him or shoot him. He's going to die. So I'd rather that.
So she'd rather let him suffer at home.
And then same thing happens where a mother did that. Her eldest son, she's waking up for Fajr, walking to her room, and there he is, dead in his room.
From overdose.
From overdose. It's on us, right, to simplify it. To say things like addiction is just like diabetes. If you don't keep taking the right course of action and keep taking the right insulin and maintaining your diabetes, you're going to die from it, right? Addiction is a disease. It could happen to anybody. It could happen to, a faith leader. It could happen to the smartest kid. It could even happen to you, Hoyo.
Right.
Right.
Because you can be a healthy person for a long time, long period of your life.
Yes.
But it's that one traumatic experience that you come across that shifts your whole brain.
Yeah.
And the response that you get from that, it leads you to dark places that you never thought you would be at. That's what addiction is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like disease.
Yeah.
Right? You could be a healthy person but you could be eating bad the entire time.
Yeah.
And then, you don't feel good one day and you go get checked out.
Next thing you know, you got a kidney failure.
You got a kidney failure.
Yeah.
Or, your blood work comes back, positive for this or that. It's just like, it's a reality.
There are some brothers, right, who were happy homes. Like none of these, both parents were at home. They gave them all the attention they needed. You know what I mean? They raised them properly. But the brother goes to Wazoo and starts partying, not knowing that he's one of the people who has the addictive gene. So now he has to hide this. Now he's like, I can't control this anymore. It's out of control. I don't want my family to know, And he drops out of school. The family don't know why he dropped out. Now, at some point, because he's a kid that grew up here, he's telling them the truth. Like, I got anxiety to deal with, you know what I mean? I can't hide this anymore. I drink a lot, and I don't know how to stop it. Now the family is baffled. Like, what have we done wrong? We raised you right. We gave you all the attention that you needed, right? You don't have no trauma that you can talk about, right? But the guilt and the shame that he was carrying is what was keeping him in this darkness. An addict could be anybody, akhi. It could be anybody. You can come from the most perfect society, or you can come from the lowest of poor families, right? Addiction is just like anything else in life, man. But once you find the right recovery path and you find people, family support, this is what I tell the families. Because addiction is not just, it doesn't happen to the person, especially with our community, right? It becomes a family disease where everybody becomes part of that chaos. Someone is covering for him. Someone is dealing with their the abuse from that person, whether it's a sibling or whether it's another family member who that person is abusive towards. Somebody is dealing with the pain that the mother is going through, right? Some Somali mothers, lives are cut short because of the stress that they carry of hiding this and worrying about the son. And they get all kind of illnesses, you know what I mean? Blood pressure, you know what I mean? They themselves, I know a Somali mother who had a stroke because she was so worried about her daughter.
So this can trickle down to
Yeah.
the health of the parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because their stressors are
Even the young
extremely
ones,
high. Yeah.
even the young ones growing up, right?
Yeah.
They are watching this. They are watching how the Hoyo, the mother, is handling this situation. Later on, if they become an addict or if they start using substances, start dabbling or something, they say, hey, you weren't saying that to her or him. Why are you treating me different? And I've seen it happen where a daughter is saying that to her mother, hey, the one that's the oldest son in the family is the one that's doing all these things, but you somehow don't worry about him, but you tripping on me?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I seen a situation in Minnesota, and this girl had to been, between the ages of like 16 to like no more than 20 years old. And from the looks of things, she was dealing with substance abuse. And this was, 6 months ago at Minnesota at a gas station. And the girl was trying to escape. And there was two vans parked up. And there was, I think, like her entire family was there.
I don't know.
There was at least like 15 people, like 2, 3 mothers, a father, siblings, girls, guys.
Uncles, everybody.
Yeah, because she's a young girl and they're trying to rescue her, but she doesn't want to go with them. And so the police, I don't know, somehow somebody called the cops and the police were at the gas station and, they're trying to get, everybody out of there. But, it's like everybody's like trying to recover her and take her and help her. But the burden that, this disease of addiction could put on the parents is a real thing that is not even mentioned aside from the real addiction. And so there's a lot of families that are dealing with this disease within the household. And, it could be a very big issue. The best
help is available.
A lot of Somali people in our community, they don't want to go to like facilities where it's like other races because they feel like they don't understand us, they don't connect with us. And so how important do you think having
Rahma Recovery Center.
Rahma Recovery Center. Let's get to that.
Yeah.
How
Wallahi.
Does
That's a good segue, akhi.
You know what I mean?
Wallahi,
How does that
alhamdulillah.
open that pipeline and make families more comfortable, and accepting of, bringing their kids in and having that open dialogue with you?
Yeah. Wallahi, alhamdulillah. First of all, I want to be transparent with everybody. We don't actually treat people with substance use disorder. What I have done is, because we're only literally a year old, right? The organization has only been open for 1 year. What we have is what we call an accredited level 2 recovery home, where when brothers go into treatment or are coming out of from being incarcerated, this is a transition home for them. Or when brothers come out of a treatment facility, they come straight from treatment facility to us. What I did was build a relationship with detox centers and treatment facilities. I advocate for the brothers I send over there and the sisters that I send over there, letting them know our culture expectation and our faith practices. So they would know what kind of a diet to feed them, and how to, protect their cultural identity. so they won't feel isolated in that area.
So they feel
Yeah.
safer.
And if I feel any resistance from any treatment facility that they are not willing to be flexible, I don't send them. I just tell them thank you. Go to the next one, right? Thankfully, there have been a couple of great treatment facilities and detoxes that understood who I was and why I'm doing the work that I'm doing, and alhamdulillah, they work with us. Now, the goal this January, inshallah, is to open a. We only have a sober house for men right now, level 2 recovery house. Our sisters are going to have one, inshallah ta'ala, this January. And trust me, I say that with sincerity because our sisters should have been the ones to get a house first. For some reason, women get kicked out of the house 50 times more than the boys.
Because it's so much more embarrassing for a woman to have this kind of addiction than a man.
How fair is that?
It's not fair at all.
You know?
Yeah.
How is it as a parent you choose a son who's an addict to be able to use at home, but a daughter, you kick her out?
Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Women are more vulnerable.
Yes.
Yeah.
They become way more victimized than the young men. So I promise you, had I known how serious of a situation it was in the community, I would have started with the women's house. And my sisters, my sincerest apology. Your house is coming this January, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah. May Allah make that transition easy.
Our next step is to get that recovery cafe open, move into the treatment phase and the detox phase. Every one of those places that come under the Rahma Recovery umbrella, from the detox center to inpatient treatment center to outpatient programs to the sober living homes to the recovery cafe, every one of those will have an aspect of culturally responsive and faith aspect of our faith. When it comes to the treatment facility itself, I will not discriminate against any faith or any religion. I don't discriminate against any faith in our house, right, at the sober house. I only implement house rules that says no pork and respect people's prayer times 5 times a day. Everybody's welcome in that house. We've had white guys come over there, Mexican guys come over there, black guys come over there. It doesn't matter. But the only difference between our house and other houses is our house has a house rule that was implemented to accommodate people of the Muslim faith who are seeking in recovery, who otherwise would not find this type of space in the traditional recovery homes, where they will feel isolated and they feel not welcome, and they walk away from their recovery without having something called recovery capital. Recovery capital is having enough months or years to focus on recovery where you feel like that you're able to sustain it for a long term. If you walk away from those recovery spaces without having a recovery capital, my brother, you are doomed. You're going to go back to using again. Anyway, addiction is a non-linear anyway, right? Everybody's addiction at some point could feel, I say about 80% of addicts will experience relapse. But if your first time around in recovery was something that you really benefited from, and you had the space and the support around you that'll give you the tools necessary to sustain it, even if you have relapse. I had a relapse after my first year, but I picked up something from that place where I went back in. And the second time, I've been clean for nearly 12 years now.
MashaAllah. That's huge.
Alhamdulillah, akhi. So,
and anybody can do it. Anybody can do it.
Listen, you're not alone.
Yeah. You can make a comeback. You know what I mean? As long as you're waking up, as long as you have a shelter over your head, as long as you're alive and breathing, anything is possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And our brother Hussein is a living proof of that. You know what I mean? As you can see right here on the merch, living proof. You know what I mean?
Sir.
It's never too late. It's never too late. You can only give up on yourself, right? But if you're willing to try, right, the help is here, right? And to the mothers that are watching this who have, children or, even extended family that is struggling, reach out to Hussein. We're going to provide all of his information on all platforms, and including this video right now as I speak. We're gonna put, his address, where you can find him, email, phone, like all of that information is gonna be provided. I just want to say one thing, as a preventative measure, right? Because, like you said, the kids that are coming up right now are experiencing a lot of identity crisis,
Yes.
right? And so this is kind of what leads to that
Yes.
situation where, if you don't know who you are, then you're going to end up trying to fit in. And then once you fit in,
Mm-hmm.
you're liable to do anything
Yes.
because you're not cool if you don't fit in, right?
Exactly.
If you're not doing what everybody around you is doing, then you're not cool enough,
Yeah.
right? And it's called peer pressure. I just want to say, like, if you have any kids, early teens coming up, I see a lot. I see a lot of youth. Like, I go to these community centers, I go to the YMCA and stuff like that, and I see a lot of kids who are just standing around. A lot of Somali kids.
Mm-hmm.
They have potential,
Yes.
the size, the length, the huge hands,
Mm-hmm.
playing pickup basketball and stuff like that, having side conversations with their friends, a little bit of social media here and there. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're a parent and you can afford it, discipline starts very young. You
Mhm.
can't discipline a teenager once he gets past 16, 17, 18, because at that point, that experience that they have gained over the years, now you're the parent.
Yeah.
Sit back. You don't know much, of what I've seen. You're just a parent. You just work and pay bills, right? So I think it's very important, to instill that discipline early on. It could be through sports. It could be through, just career path. You know what I mean? Figuring out what they're talented at, what they enjoy, what they have a passion in, and getting them in that field, and kind of getting some trainers around them and spending time. And like Hussein said, just giving them that time to speak and
Yeah.
let their emotions out. That's where mental health comes into play. If you're just kind of silencing these kids and you keep motivating them to work hard and do great things, that's fine. But you don't know what they feel inside.
Yeah.
You don't know
Do you
what
even
they
know your child?
Yeah, dude. I think a lot of parents don't know their kids at
No.
all. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They,
I don't think
they know they have an idea of who this person is
Yeah.
because they gave birth to them,
Yeah.
right? They raised them, so they know them of in their own imagination of this person is. One of the biggest things that I hear from parents is, and like I said, our Somali parents, may Allah forgive them, and may Allah bless them for all their efforts. May Allah preserve them for us. Without them we're nothing. But one of the biggest things that I hear from them is, while dealing with crisis, and that's as usual. This is what happens, right? We only wake up to the crisis when shit hits the fan.
when it's too late.
Yeah. One of the things they say is, "But my son, my daughter, they're hafid. They memorized the whole Quran. They're straight A student. They're very respectful. They don't talk back to nobody. But how could this be? I'm like, this is who you thought you knew. But it's been 8 years ago since this person went to Duksi or Quran school, right? You don't know them anymore. They just went through 8 years of addiction and hiding from you, and they probably have so many different personalities they don't even know who they are anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you start becoming, you have a multi-personality disorder, bro. Whether because when you're an addict, one of the things that happens to you is whatever group that you're around, you become a different person for that group. I remember when I was in Denver, I was a different guy. When I was in South Dakota, I was a different guy. When I was in Ohio, I was a different guy. When I was in Minnesota, even Minnesota itself. In St. Paul, I'm a different guy than I am in Richfield. I'm a different guy than I am in Minneapolis. I'm a different guy than I am in the suburbs. And I would perfect that. I would become that person. I would give them a name, give a backstory to that person, where they came from. I'm serious. I'm serious, bro. And I would just live like
Because
that.
you don't want everybody to look at you and be like, this guy's a struggling addict.
I don't
you
even look
wanna-
at myself.
Yeah.
So I have to believe that I'm somebody else.
Yeah.
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 You know what I mean? I would give myself all kind of different stories.
I think that's the fact. I think that's something that was in you that was kind of like, this is what I see. This
Yep.
is what I'm going through.
Yep.
But this is not me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm going to bounce back. You know what I mean?
I always felt that.
Yeah.
Well, I always felt that.
Yeah. You have to have that feeling inside you, like, you're doing wrong.
You're hitting something there.
You know you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
even though it feels bad,
Yep.
you gotta stop this. You gotta cut it out. Yeah, you gotta cut it
I gotta
out.
have an alter ego.
Yeah,
to deal
exactly,
with it.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, though. In a way, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because like, I think that factors into, like, part of the recovery journey that you went through is like it's a battle, just like with faith. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you're sinning, you don't pray, you do all these, but something deep inside you is it's like, nah, this ain't right. I think that's your connection to God, even though you're not where you need to be. It's like you need to do better, and that little, even if it's like 1%, can help you shift
if you're
back.
recognizing that, right? Because a lot of people are just oblivious to it.
Yeah, that's the worst kind of person to be, to give no shits about your situation, no matter how bad it is.
The gift Allah has given you, even that your heart is that soft, right? Where you have the recognition of Allah. I know I'm doing wrong, but somehow, some way, I don't know how to get out of this mess, right? Even though you're drunk and you're high and whatever you're going through, I always had these moments, right, where I would go, Ya Allah, I hope I don't die like this. I hope I don't go out like this, right? I worried about hell. I worried about, a lot of people worry about their legacy, their name, their family's name.
None of that matters.
No. For me, I was like, I just don't want to die like this, man.
Right.
Whatever it takes, hey, Allah, just get me out of this. And this is one of the things that I want to tell our young brothers and sisters, right? There are times when you would feel like there's no other way out, that you've tried everything, that you feel like the whole world is ignoring you, and no one understands your pain. No human being can understand you the way your Creator can understand you. Allah knows what you're thinking before you think it. Every condition that you are in, Allah is aware of. And you know what? Allah loves it the most when you bring your problems to Him alone. Have your one-on-ones with Allah. Instead of stressing and blaming the rest of society, even if they have done you wrong, even if everybody around you has failed you, and you know deep down that you are within your right, that abuse has happened to you, that people cheated you, that you were taken advantage of. Our sisters, I know more than I can carry sometimes of some of the pain that you guys go through, some of the dark secrets that you guys are holding in. But share it with your Creator. Share it with Allah. Allah can remove those burdens. Allah does not care how clean you are, how high you are, how dirty you are, how long you haven't worshipped. Allah doesn't care about none of those things. Allah cares your sincerity and knowing that nothing else can be of any kind of assistance to you without Allah's will. You're not alone. You're never alone. The entire world everybody could be gone, and you could be the only person on this earth, but still Allah is with you. Just know that. Wallah, this is one thing that got me through, was I knew even at some of my loneliest times in homeless shelters, in you know what I mean? Sometimes I didn't even have a homeless shelter. I remember one time I was walking from one town to another town, and I ended up, passing out. I walked away from one town drunk, and I was walking to another town. And these aren't like cities. I'm talking about like small towns where you have to walk on the dirt roads. And I was so drunk that I passed out halfway between there and the other place. I couldn't make it. So thirsty because I was drinking all night. I'm off all kind of drugs. And I passed out. I'm like, you know what? It's just as good a place to die. But somehow I knew Allah was with me. But as I was passing out, I was saying to Allah, Allah, as you take my soul, please protect me from the fire. Even in that moment, alhamdulillah, I woke up to some people that were driving by. They stopped. They said, hey, are you all right? You all right? We thought you were dead. I'm like, I'm thirsty. Can I get some water? They were like, where you headed? I'm like, told them where I was headed to. And he took me there.
Damn. That's crazy. Wallah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to process all of that. And right now that you told me, bro, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, fam.
Okay, I'm not.
But, alhamdulillah, it made you who you are today.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of the toughest people in the world, the reason why they are who they are is because of what they have gone through. People are going to go through a lot in life. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Everybody is going to struggle at some point, right?
100%.
But that struggle is never permanent, right? It's a decision you got to make
Yeah.
to climb out of that. And so, to all the young brothers that's watching this, it's never too late. And sisters, I keep forgetting the sisters. I apologize. It's never too late to turn it around. You know, like Hussein said, is that spiritual connection to God is really the biggest factor in all of this, because as believers, we know that everything in life that we go through was already pre-written for us, right? And so God is not going to put you through things that he knows that you can't handle. So whatever you're going through, God knows that you can handle that, right? And you're much stronger, but you have to believe that you are. You have to believe that you're stronger and that you can overcome. And it starts with taking accountability and reaching out to the right people that can provide that help. And Hussein is one of our brothers here today that can provide that. So to all the mothers that out there that have struggling youth, you know, men, women, children, young teens, please reach out to Hussein privately, you know, have a consultation and, you know, see where that goes, right? Because for every problem, there's a solution, right? So we need to change the trajectory of our community and how we handle things. We need to find solutions, right? Yes. It's like Hussein said, we're past that ego and, you know, the embarrassment side of things. We are way, way past that. There's way too many people out there struggling. Let's do the right thing. Reach out to Hussein, inshallah. Rahma Recovery Center, located in Federal Way, Washington. They're doing amazing things. I'm going to be coming very, very soon, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Bashir came through.
Yeah, Bashir told me. He told me,
But yeah, I want to say something too, and I'm going to say this in English, and I want to say it in Somali too. Our elders, our community leaders, and our parents, be brave, be acceptant of the facts of what's in front of you. Don't let your afterlife because you're already dealing with the chaos right now. For the young men and women who are having a hard time getting their parents to understand your issues, please simplify it for them. Show them mercy because they have gone through a trauma that you can never imagine. And they're not trying to minimize your struggle. It's just sometimes they cannot fathom that you, with everything that they provided for you, that you could be going through any kind of a pain or a struggle. So simplify it for them. Be merciful to your parents. Hooyo, aabe, abti, adeer, waalidkeena. Waxaan rabaa inaan idiin sheego hurdada ka kaca ee maaragtay yaa laga cabsanin runta idin hortaalla wax badanaa la gambanayay maanta meel laga gambado ma joogto ilmihii aad dhasheen adduunkii idin qoonsadeen aakhiradaiyasa idinku darin ee hurdada ka kaca ee wax la qabta intaa wax qarinaysiin dembiya idin tahay waayo every time aa wax qarisiin aa ogtihiin ama adinka lacag siisiin ay daroogyo qamri ku isticmaalayaan aakhiradiinay ka go'an tahay adduunkiina waa kaasaa dhib iyo walwal iyo naxdina ku jirtiin marka aan wax isla qabanno I'm your brother Hussein wiilkiina ahay I'm your son I'm your brother to some of you I'm your uncle. This Rahma Recovery Center stands for more than just a sober house. Rahma Recovery Center is a movement. Rahma Recovery Center is the answer to the chaos that our community is going through. And we are here to stand for our community to help in this time of crisis. I thank you guys very much. My brother Muhammad, thank you for inviting us.
Man.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, sir, man. I really appreciate you coming on. So Hussein, Rahma Recovery Center, located in Federal Way, Washington, inshallah. Make sure you tap in with them.
Don't forget the merch. You know,
yes, sir.
The clothes
you
that
have,
we're wearing today.
A link.
Yeah.
You have a link. That,
yeah, you go through our website. You'll be able to order your size, the color that you want. This is the movement. Addiction is a disease. Stop the stigma. This movement has been going on for over a year now. We have held events, including an Overdose Awareness Day, a lot of community functions that you guys, whenever you see us, you'll see, our volunteers wearing these. Alhamdulillah, all the proceeds go to helping the brothers and the sisters who are in our recovery program. Hussein does not benefit from this. This is for the organization 100%. Thank you guys. The hoodies are $40. The long sleeve shirts are $35, and the short sleeve shirts are $15.
Hussein, really appreciate you coming on, man, and sharing your story, man.
Yeah, man,
I know it's going to impact a lot of people. It's going to open the door for a lot of people to open up and take accountability and kind of like reach out for that help that they need, as well as parents that are willing to, give you a call and reach out. Inshallah.
And I'll have a lot of brothers and sisters from our program come stop in here and, sit down with them.
Hussein, he will be back on the next episode.
Inshallah.
So we're gonna be shooting about 6 episodes here.
Inshallah.
So we're gonna get a lot of people on here, to talk about their lived experience, share their stories and kind of, inspire other people to, create that change that is well needed and overdue in our communities.
For sure. And this is where my leadership comes from, right?
Yeah.
From my lived experience.
Yes.
This guy that you guys see here,
yeah.
I'm no scholar, man. I don't have some like fancy college degree or nothing. Everything that I'm sharing with the community and this my leadership and everything that I do, the wisdom that I have, I give all that credit to Allah for giving me this wisdom. But my leadership comes from my struggles and what I want different for our community, because our scholars couldn't do it.
That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Not to discredit them, but if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. The video will be dropping very soon. Thank you guys for keeping the channel alive. I've seen the views are still going up.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, inshallah, God willing, we plan on just producing a lot of content. You know what I mean? Kind of focusing more on things that's very, very well needed in our community. And that's all I got to say.
Yeah, man. Follow Rahma Recovery Center on all platforms. TikTok at Rahma Recovery Center. Instagram at Rahma Recovery Center. Facebook at Rahma Recovery Center. And our website, rahmarecoverycenter.org. It'll be on the screen. You guys can follow.
And we out.